get to the point, Sakura. I'm falling asleep. Shut up, everybody. I want to learn about Terrare, the hungriest man in history.
The concept of a bunch of guys pushing their anatomy to its limits just for sport leaves a bad taste in my mouth in more ways than one. But imagine if these men didn't adopt this habit just for fun. Imagine if some gross biological error forced them to eat like this for their entire life. Introducing Terrare. Terrare was born in France around 1772 to a poor farming family.
Already.
It's said that his appetite was so voracious that, by his teens, Terrare could eat an entire quarter of a cow carcass in a single day. You'd think he'd be like mega obese, but no, he only weighed 100 pounds by age 17.
Oh, he's like a Kobayashi.
He could reportedly fit 12 eggs in his cheeks at once, much like a chipmunk keeping its chipmunk eggs warm. Additionally, when Terrare was full, he'd get a crazy octomom gut going, and any other time, he'd have a huge flap of stretched out skin hanging around his waist.
What the fuck? Is Terrare a person? I've never seen any human being like this. Terrare might be the last alien that's ever come to Earth.
He also stank to high hell, even by 18th century French peasant standards.
Whoa.
He was described as reeking,
France,
quote, to such a degree that he could not be endured within the distance of 20 paces. So between all this and his horrendous outhouse flooding
Kick
dumps,
him out
his
of the
family
house.
had had enough, and eventually he landed a job as a street performer in Paris. People would hand Terrare entire baskets of apples, eggs, and even wine corks, and watch in delight as he horked them down without the slightest hesitation.
Yo, he is eating. Yeah, dude, that's hype as hell. If I saw somebody eat like crazy in that time, I would go berserk. Although I think I'd probably be mad because I feel like food scarcity was a way bigger issue. I wouldn't know what I was eating that night.
Terrare decided to enlist in the war. After all, maybe that profound emptiness he was feeling was just a lack of purpose in life. Turns out, no, he really was just psychotically hungry. Even after being granted quadruple rations, Terrare would still be digging through the trash pile whenever he got the chance.
This is like the worst perk to be born with ever.
After suffering extreme
It's like survival
exhaustion,
on
he was sent off to
extreme
the
hard
military
mode.
Hospital in Souterrain. The staff there was so dumbfounded by the man's abilities that they decided to keep him there to run a few experiments.
He had Americanitis. The first American. Maybe French portions are just really small. Here are your rations. You have 12 grains of rice and a pint of wine.
Putting Terrare in a room with a meal prepared for 15 people.
Damn,
Naturally,
look at
he ate
that.
the entire thing.
Jeez, Terrare, stop!
Next, they presented him with a raw eel. In response, Terrare crushed the eel's skull between his teeth, slurping down the entire creature in one go. Now, this is hair-clenchingly horrifying for a couple of reasons. Firstly, he put a whole frickin' eel in his stomach. But secondly, an eel skeleton looks like this.
Ooh.
That means Terrare had all of those needle-sized ribs stabbing into the walls of his stomach at once, and he was fine. He also ripped a live cat apart with his bare hands, drank its blood, and ate everything but its bones, and then later gagged up the fur and skin like an owl, but...
What the fuck is wrong with Terrare? There's a Terrare somewhere out there in the world.
Since Terrare was still technically enlisted, the military decided
This guy's
to
a
utilize his
fucking
abilities
demon,
for the greater
yeah.
good. Listen, could you eat this box with a note
Oh
in
my
it for me?
God.
Aww. If you do it, we'll give you a wheelbarrow full of bull organs. Lo and behold, 2 days later, he passed the container in mint condition and was given his reward as promised. With this proof of concept, they made him an official spy and sent him into Prussia with a document in his belly to be delivered to an imprisoned French colonel. Unfortunately, there are a couple things Terrare couldn't do that are generally important when sneaking into another country. A, he couldn't speak German, and B, it's pretty hard to maintain a low profile when you're running around like a madman, wolfing down garbage and mutilating small animals.
This is me in BioShock Infinite. Just eating chocolate from the garbage and apples. Eating food out of toilets.
So he ended up being captured.
It got me
by the
caught
enemy.
too, though.
Initially, he kept his mouth shut, for once. But after a whipping and a day in jail, Terrare gave in. After confessing that he did, in fact, have vital intelligence snaking its way through his GI tract, the Prussians chained him to a latrine until the box emerged 30 hours later. The note wasn't actually anything important, so they just mock-executed him, gave him a severe beating, and sent him on his way. After all that, Terrare returned to life at the hospital. Meanwhile, the man's endless hunger continued to get him into all sorts of trouble.
Go back to Kirby, please. You're not a fan of this video right here? You don't like Terrare here?
Fight stray dogs in the alley for their precious garbage. He'd also seek out patients undergoing bloodletting in order to take all their life juice for himself. On several occasions, he was even caught attempting to eat bodies in the mortuary. By this point in my research, I was so desensitized.
Maybe we should have gone back to Kirby. You know what? I'm sorry, Chatter. You were right.
Anyway, the hospital staff begrudgingly tolerated Terrare's buffoonery until one day when he went too far. Well, Terrare, you've only had 3 mess hall raids, 4 miscellaneous trash-related mishaps, and 1 cadaver defiling. So I'd say, so far, this week's been pretty good. Doctor, we should probably inform you that a 14-month-old child has gone missing from their room. Did you eat a fucking baby? Terrare was promptly kicked out of the hospital and spent 4 years out and about doing, whatever horrific shit you can imagine. The surgeons found that, when they looked into his mouth, they could see all the way down his throat and into his stomach cavity. As you can imagine, his whole abdominal region was profoundly deformed. Basically, if this is a normal human, this is what they found inside Terrare.
Oh my
Just like
God!
the man's mind, we can see that around 90% is devoted towards food and 10% towards everything else.
How have I never heard of Terrare before this? How are there not more Terrares out and about? I feel like I would have met one of them in my lifetime. I'll drop a sub. This is right up my alley because it's like at the perfect intersection of like gross and interesting. This is my shit. All right, I gotta see the skeletons.
The evolution of species is an incredible process, driven by little more than the random chance that certain mutations may happen to provide a practical advantage in
Damn, that last fish is turning somebody on.
Yes,
I'm somebody.
penguins do, in fact, have knees. You guys ever do wall sits in gym class or elsewhere? One of the most torturous exercises out there. I now feel even worse for penguins, because not only did they have to deal with living in a frigid black and white hellscape, the most hostile environment known to man, second only to the vacuum of space.
Show me the
all
skeleton.
The while constantly pursued by ravenous, bloodthirsty
Shut up!
sea
Show
dogs.
me the
But
skeleton!
They're also secretly...
Oh, they're resting on their tail though, like a kangaroo. That's not bad.
This next guy is known as Parsons chameleon. Notice
Okay.
the fleshy protuberances around its nose area.
I do.
Turns out, not fleshy, not even remotely fleshy, not even
really?
one flesh. Instead, it just has a skull forever frozen in time in the middle of exploding. Like it
that
sneezed right in the middle
rules.
of God, shaping it out of clay, and he was just like, whatever, it's a feature now.
That's cool as hell. I want that skeleton. I want to like show it in the back. I want to put him. Oh, dude, I want to put him on the TV.
In every other mammal on Earth, the canine teeth point
Cute.
downward from the gum to the mouth. You know, like a tooth. But this guy, known as the Babirusa, said, and decided to have them grow up through the entirety of its fucking snoot and
What?
out the other end, which is the most nonsensical thing I've ever seen. Like, toenails out the front.
What?
How cliche. Let's make him go
Ow.
through the whole foot instead. Look, now I can kick good behind
Lisa
me.
needs
That's not all, though.
braces.
These tusks
Oh my god! What the fuck?
So if it lives long enough, the teeth can curve right on around and slowly bore
Oh
into
my
the thing's
God.
face like built-in Chinese bamboo torture. And occasionally, they can end up actually piercing the skull and shish kebabbing the brain.
Bro, what kind of evolutionary defect is this? This is just the exit clause on your own species. What kind of god would create such a creature?
Moving on, here's the skeleton of a fruit bat. Now, not a big deal to us regular folk, but imagine if humans had no context of bats and they dug this thing up. Like,
Oh, yeah.
class, archaeologists have recently found these fossilized remains, and using modern technology, we can see exactly what it would have looked like back when it was alive. This abominable creature is known
my
only to
God.
scientists as finger boy.
Yeah, if you hadn't seen a bat before, you would think that was a person, because it has like it has like a almost like a humanoid shape, right? It even has hands. Oh, dude, you're right. I would think that was a fairy. If I was in the fucking 1800s, I would believe anything. I would think the sun is God. We look at them with such disdain. How are we so foolish? Truly, I would be the dumbest motherfucker. And I don't even know how I would get that information because I didn't have the internet. How would I even know? Dinosaur remains are dragons? Wait, is that what they thought? Is that why they thought dragons were real? Because they found like dinosaur skulls because they were way more common because it was... Oh, this is so stupid. I can't believe I said that. I was going to say, it was like a couple hundred years ago. So there were more dinosaur bones and they were easier to find. Like they were just littering the landscape, even though it was hundreds of millions of years. Whatever, you get what I'm saying.
At number 2, we have the anteater. From its oboe-like
Yo!
skull to its gorilla fist and hands, one can only wonder who let this creature exist.
I didn't know they had arms like that. Anteaters will kill you. How? The fuck? Oh, the claws, right. I don't know. Not me, though. I grab its nose. Whenever I talk about committing any form of animal abuse, I just assume I'm Popeye. I don't know why that is. I just assume I'm gonna, like, grab the nose and like, twist it into a pretzel. Like, it's an animal. It's not, like, strong. That's not a heroic thing to do, to abuse an animal.
Here's a few honorable mentions.
This guy's a good YouTuber.
The wolf eel.
Oh.
The ostrich.
Is that Lois Lane? A woman. Shut up. Is what if I didn't know what a woman was? Is that Wonder Woman? The only woman I've ever seen?
So at our number 1 spot, we have this creature. That's supposed to be a mirror. I know most of you can't see yourself in it on account of your filthy Dorito-smeared screen, so
that's
just take my
funny.
word for it. So what's wrong with
Yeah.
humans, you ask? Well, a lot of things. But
Good God, I thought I was banned. Oh my God. I thought this motherfucker just ruined my livelihood with that. That's a pastry. They're at the county fair.
for most animals, giving birth, not a big deal. Small heads, wide hips, Mazel tov.
So I went to the county fair like a month ago. Animals give birth without even knowing they're doing it. I never think about that. Well, you do now. I'm forcing you to reconcile with this fact in this moment.
Throws a real monkey wrench in the works there.
This is a great channel.
Why drink many glasses of milk when you can eat one udder? Why have many cheese-its when you can have one cheese-them? Patent pending. And why have many street lights when you can have one moonlight tower? These guys were real popular back in the 1880s and 90s, often standing at over 150 feet tall and illuminating several blocks from a single point.
That's kind of cool, actually.
They were so dim, we didn't even have the conscience to just call them light towers.
Oh, yeah, actually, yeah. These wouldn't be very bright, right? We didn't have power.
So they used incredibly harsh and UV-emitting arc lights instead of incandescent bulbs.
Oh my god.
All the light of the moon and all the vision damage of the sun. Talk about a win-win. Sadly, these beasts have fallen by the wayside over the past century or so. Except for in Austin, apparently. But they use friendlier mercury vapor lamps.
Wait, really? This exists in Austin? Vince! Vince, is this true? Very few? Dude, I love that. They barely do anything. I don't care. I like it.
Now, anyone who's been around a baby long enough knows they always have a cloud of ghoulish stench hovering around them. Jeez Louise, somebody better air out that musty little muskrat. Introducing the baby cage. Finally, city dwellers all across the nation.
Genius idea. If these were completely safe, like beyond a shadow of a doubt, it's a great idea. Would you put your daughter in one of those? No. Unless the guy installing it promised me that it would work. Like he promised. He pinky swore.
Next we have the Humlauf. This was a device made during World War II designed to let infantry shoot around corners. It's like the Jeremy sat down and watched that part in Tom and Jerry where the conniving rat bends the gun barrel back at his adversary.
No way.
It came in a variety of angles. But
that's amazing. Vac? This is like a TF2 weapon. Can you imagine like a soldier like coming around the corner and then he backs up and then you just see like the curve, he just shoots the rocket? I love that. I want a game of just this.
These things would invariably break within the first couple hundred shots.
Yeah, they don't work. Yeah, of course. The bullet's not a fucking bobsled.
And even when they did work, the rounds would fucking explode from the massive acceleration, turning a deadly bullet into an ineffectual spray of shrapnel.
Dude, I genuinely love how dumb military technology is. It's shit posting. It's actually just like troll science. When was this? Was this like during trench warfare, World War I? That sounds fucking miserable, dude. If you guys have never read about that, it's fucking awful. You gotta try anything you can at this point. World War II? Oh, never mind. They didn't have any excuses. But World War I was like mustard gas and shit. You're just sitting in mud for a year. Your foot just becomes jello. Oh my god.
It's the revolver mousetrap.
What the fuck? Actually, this is more humane, right? I always feel bad with like glue traps or something and they just get stuck there and they starve, right?
Thanks to the marvels of the modern era, all those tiresome hours of intense varmint slang can be outsourced to one little gadget on the floor of your kid's playroom. One way or the other, there's one less pest for you to deal with in the morning. Boom. 1850.
That's really funny. I have a lot more videos we were gonna watch tonight, but I'm just fucking stuck on this guy's channel. This rules. Where's the Mass Hysteria video you guys were talking about? Aha.
It's basically just when a bunch of people start acting a fool for no discernible reason other than maybe a stressful environment.
Coney viewer meetup?
A group of nuns in a French convent were enjoying a quiet, uneventful day until one of them decided to start meowing. You'd think this would last all of 4 seconds before another nun was like, "Excuse me, Sister Gertrude, would you kindly cut the shit?" But instead, another nun joined in, and another, until basically the entire nunnery was exchanging mouths like a group of communist trading card enthusiasts.
Bro, social media took so much from us. You could never do this in the age of camera phones. Everybody knows it'll be, like, recorded. Imagine living in this time, and you can have these experiences just meowing with your girls like this.
It said that on a given day, they would stand there meowing in each other's faces for hours at a time. Could you imagine being the first outsider to witness this?
All right, this sounds like a gas leak
now. But as they say, everybody gangsta till the nuns start meowing.
What the fuck? Shouldn't they be praying? Hey, what are those nuns doing?
Guys, can we talk to you for a second?
Shouldn't you be devoting your lives to God? I say this a lot on this stream. Lying in the past must have been so lucrative. If you're in like the 1600s, you could just be like, yeah, God talked to me and they said you need to give me $100. It's easier to scam than it's ever been. Is it? I mean, I guess you could reach a wider audience. You could get richer now from running scams than you ever could before. But you could be more successful in the past. You need to be bigger to get away with it today. Higher barrier of entry. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Thank you.
Today, we're talking popes. Now, don't get me wrong. The modern papacy is a great thing. But back in the day, Not so. See, in the Middle Ages, the church was one of the greatest powers in the Western world, and as we know, with great power comes great tomfoolery. Stephen, for example, didn't much care for Pope Formosus, the guy before last. Why? It's
How come?
complicated. Stephen couldn't even be happy that the dude was already dead. So he had the 8-month-old corpse of Formosus dug up, dressed up in Pope clothes, sat down on a throne, and literally put on trial, with a deacon appointed to give all his responses for him.
What? Bro dug up his corpse and had somebody Weekend at Bernie's him?
So you thought you could
Like
get
a
away
fucking
from
Muppet?
the law with that little dying
That's so
stunt
petty.
figure. So they throw him in the river. This whole thing caused an uproar among Formosus supporters, and after Formosus's corpse was allegedly seen performing miracles at the riverbank, Stephen ended up being overthrown, imprisoned, and executed by strangulation.
Dude, that sucks. To be that much of a hater and then he gets out of the river, does some miracles, and then you get strangled? Holy fuck. That's a fat L. You lost to a dead guy.
This guy ascended to the throne when he was just 18 years old, which is insane. If I was elected world's
needs
biggest
keeps.
hat wearer at that age, you better believe things would get real unpapal real quick. I'm talking gambling, hookers, setting fires, and toasting to the devil. And wouldn't you know it, these are all things John the 12th did. It's said that he took the sacred palace and literally made it into a whorehouse. Matter of fact, while researching the guy, I
Damn.
stumbled across this list of sexually active popes.
What? I didn't know you were allowed to do that. Popes alleged to be sexually active during pontificate. Heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual. I thought I was out of the running. I'm gonna go be Pope now.
We all have our little guilty pleasures in life. Alexander VI liked watching horses fuck. He would specifically arrange for his stallions to be introduced to mares in heat outside his palace, and he'd stand up on his balcony to watch them violently mate, which just tickled him pink for some fucking reason.
Again, he was born in the wrong generation. Nobody had to know about it. He had to have people arrange this. You can just find this on your computer, I assume. And incognito will keep you safe, I assume. Any confirmers in chat? Yeah, chat, does anybody out there wanna confirm that? I mean, I don't know, I assume.
And he'd laugh uproariously during the entire spectacle. He's
not turned on by it. It's funny.
pink for some fucking
Look.
reason. And he'd
It's
laugh
funny, you guys.
uproariously during the entire spectacle.
can't.
He also once threw a party in the
Horses.
palace called the Banquet of Chestnuts, also referred to as the Joust of Whores. Wait a minute.
What?
Horse jousting. Horses banging. Was dyslexia a thing back then?
This is a very good bit. This is a really smart joke. This YouTuber rules. He's funny. That's why he's popular. I guess so, yeah. Oh, I mean, like, you know, there are a lot of people that are very popular, and I watch their videos. I'm like, I see how you got big. You know, it's like, you do the whatever, and this, especially animation. I'm like, whatever. But this guy's really good. We've been stunlocked on this fucking channel forever.
Now, North Korea's Pyongyang Central Zoo has a colorful
God, I hate
history,
chimps.
from its humble beginnings as literally just 50 badgers and a fence, to the parrot they taught to recite poetry praising Kim Il-sung, to being the only place in Pyongyang where you can look at a dog legally. It
That's
seems the
kinda
only
fun.
thing that's remained constant throughout this zoo's life.
I would like
is
to
that
see
it's
50
fucking
badgers in
depressing.
one area, I
Fortunately,
think.
both workers and animals alike found ways to cope, one of which is smoking. Azalea the chimp is currently 13 years old and is one of the shining stars of
Aw,
Pyongyang
I
Zoo,
guess.
purely for her ability to burn through over a pack
Oh,
a day.
God, take
Whereas
that
most
away!
zookeepers would probably try to talk her out of something so
Stop!
unhealthy. The North Korean ones actually gave her supplies, just like, feeling trapped, welcome to the club, pal. Her skills are actually pretty impressive. Not only can she use a lighter, but in a pinch, she also knows that old schoolyard trick
What?
of lighting one ciggy with the other. Just a shame that her mind wasn't put towards something a little more healthy or productive.
That's a cool-ass monkey. Imagine how terrifying a monkey going through nicotine withdrawals is. Oh, that's why North Korea kept giving it to him.
Prior experiments in chimp communication
Bananas?
had attempted to teach him some basic spoken language, but after realizing that chimps are physically incapable of making most of the noises we do, they decided signing would be the better option.
How have we not taught an animal to speak? It's still fucking crazy to me. Yeah, I know parrots can do it, but they don't know what they're saying. They're just repeating back. I cannot believe. Shut up. Don't tell me to stop. I can't believe there's not a single fucking animal we've taught to speak. Isn't that crazy to you? One of Coney's 10 cool phrases. You just pull my string. Chimps are scary. Why can't animals talk? I thought people would kill each other on TV by now.
The scientists raising Washoe made sure to only communicate in American Sign Language around her, in the hopes of establishing a true conversational rapport. Initially, they took a traditional Pavlovian approach by rewarding proper use of a new sign with food and tickles. But there were a couple problems with this.
I think that only lands because he only used it once. We've watched a lot of these videos tonight, and that's the only time he's done that.
Firstly, the simple action reward setup meant that Washo didn't have to really understand the words she was signing. The same way Parrot saying I love you in a YouTube video always does it with those cold, unfeeling eyes.
Everybody's linking Alex the parrot. Alex doesn't know what he's saying. He's not talking. He's repeating what humans say. He's not talking. He's not speaking. He is not aware of his own needs and existence.
A similar story comes from a chimp named Lucy. The pair would leave bottles of gin around their home with Lucy, which I don't know how you make this mistake twice, but it was apparently a common occurrence for them to leave her alone for too long and come back like, honey, I think the monkey's fucking wasted.
What does a monkey do when it's drunk? Kill? Well, no, alcohol is a downer. A depressed monkey would kill. Oh, maybe. I don't know. I feel like a depressed monkey would be... Okay, maybe you're right.